Hey everyone, welcome to Take with Mo. Today we will be building a Tic-Tac-Toe game using Python and Tkinter. Tkinter is a Python built-in library for creating graphical user interface. This will be a two-player game where players take turns to place X and O on a 3x3 grid. Let's dive in. We start by importing Tkinter. As tk, and we also import message box for pop-up messages. We start by importing the Tkinter library as tk. Tkinter is a built into Python, which means we don't need to install anything extra. The library gives us all the tools we create windows, buttons, text boxes, and more. We also imported message box from Tkinter. The message box module allows us to create pop-up messages, which we'll use to notify players when someone wins or if there is a draw. Now let's create the main game window when everything will happen. We create the main window by calling tk.tk, which initializes the window where our game will run. Using the window title Tic-Tac-Toe, we set the title at the top of the window to display the Tic-Tac-Toe. This gives our app a nice touch by letting players know what the window is for. Now we'll create the 3x3 grid of buttons that will represent the game board. Each button will display either X or Y when clicked. We created a list of lists called buttons, where each element is initially set to none. This will later store each button for the game grid, giving us an easy way to reference each cell of the board. We also set the current player to X to start. This variable keeps track of whose turn it is, either X or O, and switches after each move. Next, we'll create the function button click that handles what happens each time a player clicks on a button. here where I check for a winner. So if this function handles the logic for each button click. When a button is clicked, it first checks if it's empty by seeing if button's row text is empty, a string here. If it's empty, the button is updated to show the current player mark X or O. Then it checks if there is a winner by calling check winner. If there is a winner, it displays a message and calls reset game to clear the board. If all buttons are filled without a winner, we display a message for a draw and reset the game. Finally, if no one has won, the current player switches to the other player. We need a function to check if there is a winner after each move. The winner is determined if a player has 3 of their marks in a row, column or diagonal. So let's write this in. buttons row. Here the check when a function checks all possible ways to win the game: rows, columns, and diagonals. First, we check each row to see if all three buttons in that row contain the same mark, either X or O, and aren't empty. Then we check each column in the same way. Finally, we check the two diagonals If any of these conditions are met, the function returns true, meaning we have a winner. If someone wins or there is a draw, we need a way to reset the game board. The reset game function will clear all marks from the buttons and reset the current player to X. In reset game, we reset current player back to X, so the next round starts with player X. Then we loop through the 3 times by 3 grid and set each button text back to an empty string, effectively clearing the board for a new game. Creating and placing the buttons. Now we'll create each button for the 3 times 3 grid and place it on the window using Tkinter's grid method. we use a nested for loop to create each button for the 3 grid. Each button has no initial text, a large font size for clear visibility, and uses the button click function as it commands. We place each button on the grid using the grid row equals row column equals col, which arranges the buttons neatly in a 3x3 format. Finally, we start the Tkinter event loop to display the game window and allow players to interact with it. The main loop function is an infinite loop that keeps the window open and active until the user closes it. It allows players to click on buttons and interact with the game. 54, let's see. Should be capital E here. Let's rerun it. Yep, we got it here working. That's it. We successfully built a 2-player Tic-Tac game in Python using Tkinter. This project is a great way to practice GUI design, game logic, and event handling in Python. Player X wins, which we have a row here, column here. It didn't reset. Let's fix this. Reset is not defined. Why is that? Reset game global player, sorry. Line 21. Let's rerun it again, check if any issues. So X or X or and X, player X wins all. Now it's working, it has reset it. And if it's a draw, for example, O here, X here, O here, X here, so it's a draw. That's it. We have successfully completed the Tic-Tac-Toe game. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I will leave the code in the comment section. Thank you.